that was that there's a lawyer for every type of client,
Mm.
right? It only counts for lawyers, doesn't count for spouse. We've covered Diddy stories a couple of times, more than a couple of times.
Yeah.
Um, we covered. I think is Anthony Rico the same attorney, or is this is not a Costco attorney? I would think.
Man, this is not a Costco attorney. Just so you know, this is Anthony Rico. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can check him out. Anthony is in the middle with the bow tie,
A brother.
a brother.
But
So that it's crazy if you think about it. The lawyer, we're about, let's say, 2 months away from that trial, and he says, I cannot continue to represent this guy.
yeah,
Did he invite him to the freak off, or once we win the
did he leave
trial,
him out?
or did he leave him out? Who knows? RJ, what is this? What does this mean? Because this is out of nowhere, or this is something that happens all the time when lawyers say, you know what, I don't see eye to eye with the strategy you guys are trying to go for. I don't know. Tell me.
Yeah. So it's not uncommon for attorneys to distance themselves from a client. Usually you do so if you're not able to represent them, right? Either because the strategy the strategy that you're proposing, it's not the strategy that your client believes in, or your client is asking you to do certain things that you don't want to, or the client didn't pay you. That's also a reason. But there is a rule, there is a caveat, because at the same time, you can't leave your client in a crucial moment. Because then you would basically you would put your client in a disadvantage, right? In the legal case, you will harm your client. So you're not allowed to do so either. So when you're distancing yourself, you need to do it in a way that's you're still safeguarding your client's interest. And so him distancing himself 2 months, there's enough time for him to say, okay, I'm going to distance myself for whatever reason. I mean, if he doesn't say what the reason is, if Diddy doesn't say what the reason is, if it's not clear what the reason is, then it's all speculation. But Diddy does seem like a very difficult person to be around. He's someone who not only, as it relates to your bodily integrity, but also just because he does things the way he wants to and expects everyone to adapt to him.
Yeah.
And so I can imagine that it can be a bit difficult, but it's not weird. And I think what he's doing is this lawyer, Rico, is trying to distance himself prior to the case, but giving him enough time. So giving Diddy enough time to look for another attorney. It's not clear to me whether or not there are other attorneys that are also leaving, or whether it's a team and only Rico is leaving. But in any case, it's clear that Rico doesn't want to have anything to do with this case.
That's crazy, right? If you're leaving, like you said, you want to safeguard even though he's not anymore your client, you want to leave as the situation with as less harm possible to the client's reputation, and by putting a statement, under no circumstances can I continue to represent. That will always spark questions. What are the circumstances you're talking about? Are people going to ask questions about the fact that maybe Diddy was suggesting to do something that is in a gray zone?
That can be it. It can also be other things.
What
It
are the
can also,
possibilities?
so I mean, that's one thing. It can also be that Diddy is not making it easy for him to prepare the case. Remember Diddy, we've seen a lot of pictures of Diddy. He's like a spoiled kid. Whatever I want, I get. Now
That
I don't
is
want to be
true.
bothered. And so, if you need your client to take things seriously, and he's not really taking it seriously because he's riding the bicycle in jail, doing donuts. I mean, if doing donuts on your bicycle is more of a priority than preparing for a case, it's gonna be a problem. So again, this is all speculation, but Diddy does not seem like a easy person to work with. Diddy does things, and Diddy is also used to ordering people around, and now he needs to not order people around and listen to his lawyer. And I don't know if you would do that, but again, this is speculation. I don't know if that's the case, but it's never a good look. In any case, it's not a good look for your lawyer to distance himself. It's never a good look.
I think what you said maybe makes sense though. If someone is bossing you around and telling you what you have to do without listening to your advice, which you think is probably the better strategy to go with, you might think, you know what, I'm good, man. I'll work for someone else. I don't need your money.
Nope.
I can find 10 other clients to fill in this place.
Yeah.
So maybe you're right about that. It makes sense though. That's also a reason why, under no circumstances, you wouldn't want to work with someone, because they don't listen to you. They try to boss you around and tell you what you have to do, knowing that it's not a good idea to do that. So maybe let's go with a hypothetical that's the reason. Could this mean that Diddy is going the wrong route with his strategy to defend himself in court? Hypothetically, let's use it as a hypothetical situation.
I mean, a route is a route. It's just like
What you're saying is there are different routes to prison. You can go the long way, or you can take the shortcut.
There are different routes to prison, but usually only one way in or out. So I guess I'm an attorney. I don't practice in the US, but what I always say, and this is not something that I invented, it was passed down to me by my mentor, and that was that there's a lawyer for every type of client. Right? It only counts for lawyers, doesn't count for spouse. But there's a lawyer for different kinds of so I do think that there are lawyers that are able to fulfill Diddy's demands and work with Diddy the way he is. But then it should be like a certain type of lawyer. So if time is the issue, if Diddy wants you to work odd hours, then there are lawyers that are willing to work odd hours. If Diddy wants to use a more aggressive tactic, then there are lawyers that will use aggressive tactics. I'm pretty sure, and I don't know if this is allowed, but people are people and humans are humans. I'm pretty sure that there are lawyers that are willing to take other form of payments. So so whatever it is, and for some attorneys, and
I've heard that a lot of divorce lawyers tend to sometimes, let's say, sample the goods.
They use you retain them differently. Let's just say that. you retain them differently.
Imagine you try to divorce the wife and she's out here banging the opposing lawyer. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, what the heck? But anyway,
Yeah.
continue.
So I think it's very, there's a lawyer, so whatever it is, so whatever
Makes
the point
sense.
is of
That's a good
dispute,
one.
there's a lawyer that is willing to. And one thing to remember as well, that as a lawyer, you're a human being first, but when you're acting as a lawyer, you're fulfilling a role. And you need to remember that every client, every person under the law has the right to be represented by an attorney in court.
Mhm.
Aside from certain people living in on certain islands, Spanish-speaking islands in camps. But that's Guam Guam.
What? Does it rhyme with hey?
It rhymes with, yeah, it rhymes with Antanamo. Hey.
Does it
So
rhyme with Guantanamera,
Exactly. Yeah.
Guajira, Wandio? It's crazy that they call it Guantanamo Bay and the song is Guantanamera. That's the only thing
Yeah.
they'll hear. Anyway,
So
continue.
so Diddy has a right to be represented in court by legal experts, and so it's not like a lawyer that is willing to represent Diddy should be regarded as like a, someone that also that's also involved in the wild lifestyle, because that doesn't have to be the case. It's just an attorney that does feel comfortable representing Diddy under the circumstances, and so on and so forth. So Diddy will find an attorney, and I think as an attorney, if you feel like you're not able to represent a client to the best of your ability, perhaps there's also like a personal friction, right? Maybe they fought, maybe they had a heated discussion, maybe people were insulted. Hey, you can represent someone like that, and it wouldn't be fair to say, no, I'm gonna remain this person lawyer so I can keep getting the money, while knowing deep down that there are certain people who are able to represent him better. So yeah, that's what I have to say, actually.